by Sochi.
That's right. Let's start by looking at how the Russian press feels about this. The Russian paper Rossiyskaya Gazeta has published a 4-page supplement in several international papers like the New York Times, the Daily Telegraph, and Le Figaro. And this supplement really focuses on the positive aspects of the Olympics for Sochi and Russia as a whole. You can see here that it says that Sochi has really hit the jackpot. It's seen an epic transformation for these games, and this really symbolizes a new Russia, a Russia that's a great power and a modern economy. Now, the Wall Street Journal is also focusing on the Sochi Games today. In its editorial, it calls it the Putin Games and points out that Vladimir Putin really wants these games to be a showcase for a modern Russia, but he's succeeded in a way that may not be the way he really intended. According to this article, the games have exposed the underbelly of the Putin regime, the Putin system in which all his buddies really got all the construction projects, that they went really over budget. These are the most expensive games in history. We've been hearing a lot about that. And the International New York Times points out that the timing isn't so great for Russia. As the Olympics arrive, Russia is actually experiencing a downturn, and economic growth is slowing. This casts a shadow over the Olympics, according to the International New York Times. A lot of people feel like that money could have been used in a better way.
Outside Russia, of course, the focus is as much on the politics as it is on the sport, particularly the way Russia treats gay people.
That's right. Let's take a look at that cartoon you just got a sneak peek at in the Independent today, where you can see a ski jumper sliding off Vladimir Putin's nose with the gay flag pinned on his suit there, but his arms tied behind his back and his mouth covered. So you see that somewhat touchy subject there. Now, there's a really interesting piece in China Daily that's been penned by Dmitry Trenin. He's the director of the Carnegie Moscow Center. And he says, look, politics is no stranger to the games. Modern Olympic Games are never entirely free from politics. During the Cold War, for instance, the U.S. boycotted the Olympics in Moscow. The Soviet Union boycotted the Olympics in Los Angeles. And then if you look even in 2008, there was palpable tension before the Beijing Olympic Games as well.
The other thing proving a bit of a headache for Mr. Putin, the threat of a terror attack.
That's right. The International New York Times wonders, is Sochi the most dangerous games? That's in the International New York Times. The Daily Beast says that terrorists could already be inside Sochi. It points out that Russia hired thousands of workers before the so-called ring of steel was closed around the site. And security experts, according to the Daily Beast, believe that it's likely that militants infiltrated the workforce and are waiting to strike. Now, according to the Moscow Times, Russian authorities are really monitoring the situation very closely. And this article points out that the FSB, so the Russian secret police, is eavesdropping and quite openly doing so. It's almost as if they're proud of it, says the Moscow Times. They say, don't be scared of phone tapping. It's for your own safety. So they've been, according to the Moscow Times, made eavesdropping an Olympic event in a way. They're eavesdropping on everyone from athletes to judges to, of course, journalists. Now, according to Slate, they're not only tapping their phones, but apparently filming them in their hotel rooms. Now, we've been hearing a lot of complaints on Twitter from Western journalists about the conditions of the hotels, about not being so much up to standard for them. But according to this article, Russian officials have brushed off criticism in quite an unusual way. They quote one Russian official saying, well, we have surveillance video from hotels that show people turning on their showers and then leaving the room. So if you're taking a shower in those hotels, you might want to smile.
Okay. Some papers, meanwhile, actually focusing on the sport.
That's right. The Guardian points out that after politics, 2014 Sochi, let's take a look at the sports. What should we actually be looking out for? What athletes should we be paying attention to? I pulled out some articles from the International New York Times that focus on unlikely athletes in these Winter Olympics, namely athletes that come from places where there isn't very much snow. For instance, the Caribbean. Now, a certain movie pops to mind, of course.
Yeah.
Exact. Cool Running, actually.
Cool Running.
But this article focuses on two athletes from Dominica, two athletes who are going to be skiing. Now, they're both in their 40s, unlikely athletes, but they did pass the qualifying tests. But this article points out that they acquired nationality, so that can actually be a good path for athletes who want to participate in games and would have gotten the cut in their original country. Let's end with the story from an underdog from another tropical place. This man's name is Bruno Banani. He's from Tonga, and he's a luger. Now, that name, Bruno Banani, might be familiar because it's actually the name of a German underwear company. Now, talking about the luger, his original name was Fuia Semi, and he won the competition to become Tonga's first Winter Olympian, but luge is a very expensive sport, so he had to find a sponsor. So he changed his name to the name of that German underwear company. But he says he's very proud of his name. It's made Tonga history, and so he's going to keep it after the games.
Good for him. Florence Flemino, thank you very much for that roundup of the international papers. We're going to take a very short break now here on Live from Paris, after which I'll be back with all latest news.